With the most recent Dokkan Battle producer letter for May 2025, we've gotten a huge amount of information on upcoming content and changes to the game. These include the implementation of the next LR, which is a tag Caulifla and Kale character, a new summon points feature which will allow you to receive tickets when summoning, and even the announcement of 2 separate Dokkan days each month. Very much a lot of exciting things. Most notably, however, we also received clarity on something that has been looming over the community ever since the schedule unification of both the global and Japanese versions of the game was announced, from all the way back in 2024. Ironically, that would be the new schedule in itself. To give some context on this for newer players who may have started in the past year or so, the global version of the game was actually released 6 months after the Japanese version of the game back on July 16th of 2015. Throughout the years, we've sporadically seen the global version of the game add more and more large releases at the same time as the Japanese version, such as Sane Day, the Golden Wing campaign, and even a huge worldwide celebration campaign was made to celebrate the entire world. At some points, there were even releases that were a few months prior to said JP release, such as the Dokkan Festival Tech Hit release and things like that. While this made a potential synchronization a lot easier, there was still the issue of 2 different major celebrations that occurred in July for both versions. On JP, there is the Tanabata celebration, which featured 1 Dokkan Fest LR, 1 Yellow Coin / Carnival LR release, and along with a special banner that highlighted the return of both anniversary Dokkan Festival characters that arrived on July 7th. On the global version of the game, this July 7th date is actually the exact same time that the anniversary campaign begins, which on JP had already started all the way back in January and lasted throughout February, consistently around 6 months after the Japanese version itself. With all this being said, a huge question had of course been sprung up once the original synchronization announcement was made. What exactly was going to happen during this month of July moving forward? Now, since the 10th anniversary year has started, all new character and event release schedules are going to be the exact same no matter what. There's not going to be any differences or any early Dokkan Fest on either version. Every EZA new character are going to be the exact same on both versions, which is the ideal scenario. However, because of this huge discrepancy in both versions in the same month of July, we were very confused on how they were going to take things. And that's where the new sync schedule announced comes into play. As stated in the producer's letter itself, starting for the month of July, there will be a new name celebration called the Global Dokkan Campaign. The point of this name is to portray 2 different things. Firstly, a celebration of the Global Dokkan anniversary each year in July, and secondly, to highlight a campaign that is quote-unquote grand enough to include the whole world. The celebration is also stated to be in a similar size to the anniversary campaign itself, which is a final piece of the puzzle for exactly what's happening. Essentially, if we want to make things simple, it seems that the worldwide celebration campaign, which is once hosted from the end of August and through the month of September, is actually being pushed up to become a July release and is being given a name that is representative of the global Dokkan theme celebration, anniversary, and things like that. Another big fact that is actually supporting this is that the new release date of the Tanabata celebration, which is also announced to have a different name essentially, is confirmed to be released during the month of September. Now, if you notice what I said earlier, the worldwide celebration previously released during the month of September and it went throughout the entire month. So more details on that specifically was also announced to be coming out at a later time, and we'll potentially cover that in a future video. Now, all this information is relatively easy to digest and understand from the producer's letter, especially if you're a longtime player, but I wanted to make sure we cover these basic details because of the changes that come with this new schedule that isn't inherently stated from the producer's letter. Firstly, the return schedule of characters is very, very important when it comes to these celebrations. As stated previously, on July 7th of each year, the Dokkan Fest Anniversary LRs do return on a special banner with the brand new Tanabata LR. However, now this Tanabata celebration is pushed back by an entire 2 months and is going to be reworked to go ahead and fit that. Because of this, there's now a question on where these characters are actually going to be returning. Luckily for us, we have a pretty safe guess of what's going to happen, which is that they're going to simply return in the same month for the new Global Dokkan celebration. In previous years, we've seen the Carnival LR releases from the anniversary return during the worldwide celebration in September. Yet all the worldwide LRs eventually did return during the anniversary, which is 4 months later, at least when it originally released in September. This is now going to set up a perfect return system for the largest scale characters to have a consistent banner to be coming back on, which are going to be the best banners of the year. Having the anniversary LRs rerun on the next Global Dokkan celebration, then those new Global Dokkan celebration characters returning for the next anniversary, and that method will basically repeat every 6 months. This also does improve the quality of that worldwide celebration, now the Global Dokkan celebration, as worldwide celebration banners specifically instead return to the Golden Week Dual Dokkan Fest TUR characters. For example, this year that would be the new Int Hit and the Tech Blue Cow Goku. While Golden Week characters are usually powerful, let's kind of ignore Tech Blue Cow Goku, they're never as powerful as the anniversary headliners, as those characters are intended to basically run the game for the entire year almost. Now you could be thinking about what's going to happen about the Golden Week Dokkan Fest TUR characters, because if those anniversary characters are going to take that spot in the Global Dokkan celebration, those characters may be a bit in limbo. However, now we can go ahead and talk about the new Tanabata celebration, because now that celebration is likely no longer going to return the anniversary characters. So what they can do now is just slide them right into that spot. Have the Golden Week characters return during the Tanabata celebration. Another reason is because those Golden Week characters are likely not going to return in less than 2 months for the Global Dokkan celebration. They usually do not return characters that soon. So now that they'll return in September, which is the usual time frame, it just makes a lot of sense when you put the puzzle pieces together. Adding on to this, we do see that the Golden Week campaign now has a Part 2 LR that's a Carnival LR. In the past, these have all been Yellowcorn LRs. And unlike said Yellowcorn LRs, these characters can only return as featured units on other Carnival LR banners. So not only can we predict the Golden Week TURs returning in September, but potentially the Golden Week Carnival as well. However, a more likely possibility is that the Golden Week Carnival instead returns for the December Carnival slots, which we do know that there is going to be December Carnival. Then this could lead to the December LR returning 9 months later for Tanabata, which again would be an extremely large time frame. We can imagine something like this. The Golden Week LR returns during the December slots, the Tanabata LR returns for next Golden Week, then the December LR returns for the next Tanabata spot. It is also possible that Tanabata ends up not having an actual Carnival LR anymore, and that is why the Golden Week campaign instead has a Carnival instead. But just for safe presumption, let's assume that the Golden Week campaign was only just upgraded to be a Carnival LR and they're not removing that from Tanabata. But who knows, it could be a thing of Golden Week now is the Carnival instead of Tanabata, and that character will return in December. Then the December LR will return next May, which is realistically just a much more cleaner approach, but that's where we have to wait for the future details. However, based on what we know, we could pretty much imagine the entire year to be planned out like this. January is where the end of year Dual Dokkan Fest banners will still be out throughout this entire duration. Plus, on January 1st, we'll receive the New Year's Step Up banner. This banner, of course, usually does return a lot of characters from the previous year in itself. Then at the end of January, we received the anniversary celebration. The only real thing that changes about this is that the global Dokkan campaign LRs will return instead of the quote-unquote worldwide celebration characters. Then we continue on. March and April usually is the same. There's some filler Dokkan Fest, but March does highlight the same day celebration, returning the Tanabata LR. Then at the end of April, we receive the Golden Week Dual Dokkan Festival at the end of the month. That banner usually does return the end of year Dual Dokkan Fest characters as well. As we go into May, we see one of the bigger changes, which is now that the Golden Week campaign has a Carnival LR that could again return the end of December Carnival LR as well, which realistically would make a lot of sense. As we move forward, June is just a filler celebration realistically, and July we see another one of the big changes, if not the biggest change, which is the Global Dokkan Celebration that should return at the anniversary LRs. August is usually a filler Dokkan Festival. Then we get into September, which will have the Tanabata Celebration, which does usually feature a Dokkan Fest LR and a Carnival LR. But who knows, maybe the Tanabata Celebration now has a Yellow Corn LR instead of a Carnival LR, right? That's a change that we have to wait and see. However, I don't really think that changes too much about where people are going to be summoned. And then the rest of the year, October, November, December, usually pretty safe skips. There is a Carnival LR that usually does happen around December 12th to the 14th range. But again, a lot of these times are not really important, especially the end of the year. After that Tanabata celebration, if you chose to summon, you should realistically be saving for anniversary. And that's where we can go with the general most important parts of the year to save for. And now it's going to be a lot easier, I think, with this new format. The first is obviously going to be the anniversary campaign, which lasts through February. And the second will be the Global Dokkan Celebration now in July. That is essentially a 6-month time frame for each of those banners, and you could save all your stones for those. You could plan your summons out, and again, especially with the new summon points feature, but also with the pity, things are going to be a lot easier to summon for in terms of planning things out and making sure you're guaranteeing yourself these characters. So a lot of these changes are going to allow Dokkan to realistically be more fun. As long as you plan your summons right, don't summon every banner, I think there is a good chance that you're able to go ahead and get all the characters you really want. But that's pretty much all there is to cover here today. I want to make sure that I highlighted the most important change, which is the new schedule and what we can expect for the future in terms of when characters return and everything like that that is important to us as players. But let me know what you guys think. If you guys think that there could be some other potential changes at the end of the year, kind of release schedule, we really have to wait and see on that. Thanks all for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.